I'm Pat Higbee, Energy Education Outreach Coordinator for the Center for Energy and Environmental Education at the University of Northern Iowa. For this Green Schools video series, I've invited experts to help you make your school more efficient, healthier, and a better place to learn, work, and play. Support for this video series was provided by the U.S. Green Building Council's Center for Green Schools, the Iowa chapter of the USGBC, and the University of Northern Iowa. This series was filmed at Iowa Communications Network Studios at UNI and other Iowa sites. It was part of the Spring 2011 Teaching with Energy course, made possible with support from the Iowa Office of Energy Independence, Iowa Public Television, and UNI Continuing Education and Special Programs. We have Mary Schon today with the Schools for Energy Efficiency Project, and she's with the Krell Institute in Iowa.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Mary Schon, and I am the program manager for the Krell Energy Efficiency LLC in Ames, Iowa. And we are a new LLC that was started primarily to distribute the Schools for Energy Efficiency Program, or the C program, throughout the state of Iowa. C is a very comprehensive program, and that's what really attracted me to it a few years ago when I was looking for a worthwhile program to bring to Iowa schools. It was started by a company in the St. Paul, Minnesota area, a Hallberg engineering company. They're a mechanical and electrical engineering company that had been working with school districts up in that area for over 25 years. And back around the turn of the century, a few of those districts came to them and said, you know, the energy costs are just killing us. They're eating our budgets. Is there anything you can do to help us? And so it was at the request of school districts that this program was developed. So what I'd like to do today is tell you more about the program, and then really focus in on the success story that it has been, not just in Minnesota schools, but more recently in the very first district to sign up in Iowa, in Bettendorf Community School District. So you see here from two recent studies, and these are national studies, but you can be talking anywhere in the high tens of thousands for your smaller elementary schools to the high six-figure digits in some of your larger high schools. And when you're looking at that second to the last figure there, the fact that almost $250 per student is the median energy per student cost in the country, you can see why energy is a big concern for a lot of school districts. So that's why C exists. It has three primary goals. The first goal is to cut energy use in the district, and this is a district-wide program, so to cut energy use district-wide by at least 10%. Goal number two is to bring national recognition to the district through the Energy Star program. And goal number three is to do both of these goals by engaging everyone in the district, students, staff, administrators. That's another thing we really liked about this program, is that everyone gets involved, and it is a behavior-based program. We'll talk more about what that means as we go into the presentation. This program has seen a lot of success. Most of the districts involved are up in Minnesota, but there has also been a very large district down in Louisiana and a few districts out in New Jersey. Year by year, you see the energy reduction increasing. After the first year of the program, the average C district has reduced their energy use by 8%. By the end of year two, that has gone to 16%, and you see a gradual increase until by year 4 and 5, the average school has reduced their energy use by over 20%. Well, what this program is really good at doing is chipping away at waste. And according to the U.S. Department of Energy as well as the EPA, they both agree that the average school district wastes about 30% of the energy that it pays for. So as you can see, by the time a school district has completed this program, they have eliminated most of the waste in their utility bills. Well, why is this important? Some of these things may seem obvious, especially in the economic climate that we're in Iowa schools today. But if we can reduce energy use and energy costs by 10% and up to as much as 30%, then think of the difference that could make if all of those dollars could then be spent on teacher salaries, on computers, on textbooks, the things that our taxpayers really want us spending their money on. At the same time that you're reducing energy and reducing costs, of course, you can reduce the environmental footprint, and that is so crucial, and a lot of our students have an interest in doing that. They just need guidance to let them know how they can play a role in it. So in educating the students and staff, and then lastly, a lot of national recognition through the Energy Star program, as well as local recognition, comes about because of the C program. How is C implemented? Well, one of the things that the Bettendorf School District really liked about this program, because they were looking at several programs, including a performance management program when they were looking at the C program. And the thing that they really liked is the flexibility and the fact that they really are managing the program rather than having someone come in and tell them exactly what they have to do in order to get their guaranteed savings. And so what would happen if your district were to sign up would be that we would ask the district to select an energy efficiency coordinator, or an EEC. And that is the person within the district that becomes the real champion for the program. And they are trained and then work throughout the district to make these things happen. They would then help to put together an energy steering committee. The steering committee is a group of decision makers from throughout the district who are then going to sit down, and their very first role is to come up with the energy policy for the district. Well, if you know any of the directors of operations, you may realize that it's very hard for them to implement or employ energy reducing tactics unless they have some teeth in them. And that's really what this policy does, is give people, once that energy policy has been approved by the board, it gives the custodial staff and the operators a chance to really enforce the policy and make sure that energy is going to be reduced. As the program continues, then a building site team is also put together. So 2 or 3 people from each building, each school, who are very enthused about this program and want to help motivate and keep this program moving are chosen. All of these people get training and support directly from me or someone else from my company in Ames, and then we also work very closely with Hallberg Engineering and the company up in Minnesota that founded the program. It's important to realize, and I think this is why it works so well, that the C program kind of approaches energy reduction from 2 angles. The first is an awareness campaign to get everybody involved, and the second is a set of operational strategies. So let's look a little bit more closely in the next slide at what actually a district will get with this program. I already mentioned the awareness campaign, and this is very thorough, very comprehensive. You see some of the materials pictured there. Among them, there's a set of 10 posters that goes to every school, and to the larger schools you get 2 sets of those 10 posters. You have a progress poster that you see down in the middle, the yellow with the red bars, looks kind of like a United Way poster, so that at the end of each quarter, each school building fills in and knows exactly how they are doing compared to all of the other buildings in their district. There's light switch stickers, there's computer monitor stickers, vending machine stickers. Because remember, this is behavior-based. And so if you're looking to change habits, then you need to use every opportunity to remind people that they can play a role in reducing energy. Going on to the energy-saving operational strategies. Every year, there's a new set of 50 to 60 operational strategies. These are used by the operations team, all of the custodial staff, and we'll look at those a little bit more closely. Training and support. Every summer, there's a 2-day training program that goes on up in Minnesota, and all energy efficiency coordinators, as well as many as 2 other people from each district, are invited to go up and be trained for the following year. That is then followed by me going into the district and doing operational training with people right in their home district. And then I also provide ongoing support. If they have a question, if they have a concern, they can get on the phone, they can email me, and I'm right on it. Utility tracking and recognition tools are also a valuable part of this program that we'll be hitting on just a little bit later. Part of the awareness campaign that you as teachers might be interested in are the classroom activities. And I want to stress here that the C program is not curriculum-based, but what it does provide are a set of very interactive, participatory classroom activities that can really get the teachers and the students engaged in energy conservation. Just a few examples up there. If you look at the lower right-hand corner, you see the Energy Hog there. Well, the Energy Hog is the mascot for the Alliance to Save Energy, and they partner with C schools so that the Energy Hog can go into these schools and really lighten up the place. Let me tell you, Bettendorf had a lot of fun this past spring with the Energy Hog. The Energy Hog does a skit that gets the kids involved and lets them know about a lot of different things that they themselves can do, both in school as well as at home, to reduce their energy costs. Above that is a picture of a young girl on an energy bike. And kids get on this bike and see for themselves, using their own physical energy, how much difference in energy it takes to light a compact fluorescent bulb versus a fluorescent bulb. On the upper right, you see 3 students that are part of the C Squad. And Bettendorf just started that this year too. Each school chooses a group of students who are then chosen to go around the school during different times of the day and check to see if computer monitors have been turned off, if lights have been turned off in empty classrooms. And they put oops or wow stickers accordingly, depending on if they've seen good or bad energy behaviors. So all different kinds of activities that are, again, open for teachers to use if they choose and fit into their existing curriculum. So let's jump from the awareness campaign to the new operational strategies. And as I mentioned, there's 50 or 60 that are new each year. The first year is focused on real low-hanging fruit: lighting, computer use, office equipment use. Overall, it looks at energy management systems, HVAC systems, and then some things that you may not stop to think about or that might not be quite as obvious. I know third from the bottom, vent controls. Bettendorf has spent a lot of time looking at how they use their fans and their ventilation system. In the past, and I think a lot of schools just set it on and the fans may be blowing all the time, or they may be set for maximum occupancy rather than looking at how many people are actually in the room. And so by looking at that and really focusing in and changing those settings, they feel that a lot of energy has been saved in that way. Scheduling is also a critical way, whether you're talking about how you schedule your cleaning, You know, do you do it all in one part of a building so that the lighting only needs to be on in that part, or do you go in and flip the whole lights on everywhere until you're finished cleaning? Same thing for weekend and evening activities. Can you have them all going on in one school or in one portion of a school? Sometimes that's not feasible, but if it is, it's a great way to cut back on energy use. Now, demand charges. I found that a lot of people don't even realize that a school's electric bill sometimes can have just as much of a charge for demand as they do for actual kilowatt hours used. Well, if you're not aware, there is a demand charge on school bills and on commercial building bills that is all about demand. The utility company looks every 15 to 20 minutes typically at how much energy, how much electricity is being used. And they charge you a demand price based on the peak use of electricity during that period. It could be a month since your last meter reading. And so once schools are aware of that, and once teachers and staff are told that these peak times typically occur between 11 and 1 in a school day, then the clerical staff can start thinking about, well, could I wait and make those copies at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock instead of between 11 and 1? Or maybe the art teacher can think about running the kiln later in the afternoon rather than over the noon hour. There's all different kinds of energy intensive activities that can be taken out of the noon or 11 to 1 equation once people are aware of demand charges. So those are the kind of things that the C program really works hard at getting people within the district to think about. Okay, we mentioned utility tracking as a very important, vital component of the C program. How else would we measure the results and be able to verify the savings? So the first thing we would do if a district signs up with C is to ask them for at least 14 months of their last utility bills. That would be used to establish the baseline. We would also then go to the local weather station and get the weather from those last 14 months so that we could normalize that data using heating and cooling degree days. Because as we know, some winters, for example, are much colder than others. So you have to normalize it to make sure that you're taking that into account. Well, I mentioned before that Energy Star is a part of this program. We're a strategic partner with the Energy Star program. So every month, then the school inputs their data, their utility bills, into the software program that we use. At the same time, it is downloaded into the Energy Star Portfolio Manager so that every quarter then there's going to be a report coming to you for every school building in the district that will say how that building is doing compared to your own baseline, as well as how that school building is doing compared to school districts across the country that are being benchmarked. So hopefully by now you're getting the impression that yes, this is a very comprehensive program. It's going to get students and teachers involved, it's going to get the administration involved, it's going to get custodial staff and people in the cafeteria, and it's going to get people who control the boiler rooms. You see that the local media really loves the C story. And I think that's easy to understand. I think most people realize that the greatest share of their property taxes go to the local school district. When you get this program working, I think the results speak for themselves. As I mentioned, there's 600 schools in 31 districts in 4 different states that have been enrolled in C since 2003. When you look, if you recall, after year 1 it was 8%, after year 5 it was 22% energy reduction. Well, if you look at all 600 of those schools, averaged out over the 5 years, they're averaging 13% annual energy use reduction. And when you think back to those first numbers, those 5 and 6 digit numbers that we see school districts spending per building, you can see why that kind of a reduction really adds up to a lot of cost savings. Since 2003, the C program has helped school districts avoid $23 million in utility costs. And again, you can think about that saving a lot of teachers' salaries and buying a lot of textbooks and computers. And one of the things that we certainly cannot overlook here, especially you being educators, is the fact that above and beyond reducing energy use and reducing the costs, both very important, is the fact that in the process, this is different than just buying a new chiller or buying a new boiler that are hopefully going to save some money or some energy. Here, we're actually trying to change a culture. And we're trying to let everyone know that they are part of the solution and that each one of them can make a difference. And of course, when you're talking about new habits, people don't typically leave the habit at the door. They're going to walk home with it. Your students and staff are going to take it into their homes and into their community, and that's exactly what we want in Iowa. So let's look a little bit at Bettendorf and how they're doing. They enrolled in late December of 2009, the first C district in Iowa. They put their energy steering committee together. They got their energy policy approved by the board, and that has been implemented by the staff. Now, what they did is they selected their director of operations to be their EEC, and he solicited the help of their director of communications. John and Celeste together have done an amazing job of getting the building site teams put together and really getting the entire district motivated. And what we're doing right now, Krell Energy in Ames, is still continuing to try to sell and get this program in other districts so that they can see the kind of success that we're going to be seeing in this next slide. So Bettendorf really has become our Iowa success story. They reduced their district's energy use by 16% during year one. So think back to what the average is. They just blew this program away because of the fact that they jumped in right away, got everybody going, and it just shows what can be done. And by doing that, they avoided energy costs of almost $114,000 during 2010. Because they reduced their energy costs by 16%, they are now eligible for and have applied for an Energy Star Leader Award. If you would like to see how Bettendorf views their success, you can go directly to their website. And again, not all C schools do this, but they have a whole page. Yeah, there you can see, again, just some of the energy and enthusiasm that they have, not just for their own success, but you can see off to the right that they have gone to get several different links so that the students and staff can delve into energy efficiency on their own. If you look over on the left, this is something that I think is just great. If you see the top there, if NIP can save energy, so can you. Well, NIP is a therapy dog at the Bettendorf Community School District, and they taught him to turn off the lights. And so that is something that got all of the kids, especially in the elementary and middle school, just so excited. And they all say, well, if NIP can do it, so can we. And they've really had an impact here and know how to get to the kids and get people excited about conserving energy. So with that, I'm going to just call for questions and see if there's anybody out there who wants some more information.
Yeah, I was just curious, what's the range of school size that typically subscribes to this program?
That's a great question, because I was talking to Pat about this, that the fact that this program sees the most cost efficiency in larger school buildings, because right now, the fixed price that is put on each school building to enroll in this program is $5,000. And so if you have a small building where you may only be paying $50,000 or $35,000 or less, then it's going to take a while, into the third year or so before you actually start saving money or having a good return on your investment. However, in the larger school districts where you've got a lot of larger buildings, the return on investment up in Minnesota at the end of year one, the average return on investment was $1.59 for every dollar spent, and that was at the end of year one already. But again, here we're talking about a lot of larger school districts in suburban Minnesota and St. Paul. So what I usually do, if I go into a school district that shows some interest, I always ask them, well, how much did you pay for your utility bills last year? And we sit down and figure out what's the likelihood that this is going to be a cost-effective program for your district, because we don't want to go into a district unless we can really help you save money.
Good, thank you. That makes sense. I was thinking our school would be a bit small to see these kind of savings that fast.
Do we have any other questions?
I wanted to ask Mary, if this is a program that's based on awareness and education, after 5 years, are you planning on having that curriculum or that training be left in the school to maintain the sort of energy efficiency that you start with in the first 5?
That's another great question, one we get a lot of, especially from the schools that have been involved for over 5 years now. Last year when I went up to the summer training in Minnesota, we had a chance to meet some of the first, what they're calling the alumni of the program. And these are school districts that had been through all 5 years. Again, these are large districts. Several of them had saved millions of dollars. And so they didn't want to walk away from the program. They said, we want to keep this spirit alive. We want to keep the culture alive. And so the company up in Minnesota actually has come up with an alumni program where there is a greatly reduced fee, but there's new materials, new things brought into the school to keep the energy up, to keep the energy in the people up, and to keep the energy in the school buildings down.
Well, thank you very, very much, Mary. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it has provided both the knowledge and inspiration to help you green your school. Good day.